In the next 90 days, you could become pro at flipping a coin and catching it in weird, dramatic ways. Or you could learn one of these 5 languages. If your goal, the thing that you really want, is to be able to have a real conversation with a real human being in another language, well, you can do that in 90 days, especially if you choose one of the languages that I'm going to show you in this video. And if you do take on this challenge, I promise you, your life will never be the same again.
Mi piace bello.
Italian. Now, people think Italian is just passion, pasta, and opera, but what nobody tells you is that Italian is one of the easiest languages to start speaking, even if you've never learned a single foreign language in your life.
Un abbraccio forte. A questo è Francesco. Francesco, è il momento più bello.
Let's be honest, this language will get you everywhere. Arguments in traffic, dangerously good carbohydrates, and obviously it is the language of love. You almost have to learn Italian if you're a nice person.
Ti voglio bene. Ti penso. Mi manchi. Voglio un abbraccio.
Exactly. I'm Olly Richards, by the way, a linguist and language teacher. I've taught tens of thousands of people a new language and published dozens of language books, including on Italian, by the way. And it turns out that Italian builds on things that you already know in English, because a sentence in Italian, for example, for the most part, is arranged like it is in English. So when you say, I eat pasta, the words come out in the same order in Italian. Io mangio la pasta, or mangio la pasta. It's the same logic. And as a bonus, a lot of the words in Italian are similar to English ones. So you're not really starting from scratch like you would be with a language like Mandarin Chinese. It gets better though. You also pronounce things the way you spell them. There are no bizarre spelling traps like you see in French literally everywhere that you look. You just say what you see. And if you want to actually sound Italian from the start.
When I listen to English speakers speaking in Italian, I want to say, open your mouth, apri la bocca.
Vowels are really important in Italian, and they're actually really fun to pronounce. In English, we tend to really eat our vowels, so we'll say things like opera, whereas in Italian, every vowel is really important, like in
Opera.
You have to really concentrate on enunciating every vowel, and that's part of what gives Italian its really nice musical quality.
Oh, and then there's the rhythm. Italian has this built-in rhythm that just sounds like music, and your brain absolutely loves that.
Tu li conosci alla mississoi, veramente bestia.
Listen, that's the kind of rhythm that makes phrases stick. Try this. Pick one small Italian story, just a couple of paragraphs perhaps, and just try reading that every day for a week. By day 3, you'll be reading it without thinking. By day 7, you'll be speaking chunks of Italian without even realizing it. And of course, if you need any books or stories, we have you covered. Now, I know what you might be thinking here. What on earth is Olly talking about? You can't learn a language in 90 days. Certain corners of the internet at this point are screaming at me through the screen saying you can't learn a language in 90 days. But look, language learning is not about perfection. It's about improving ourselves. It's about the ability to be able to communicate with other people. That's what language is. We're not trying to pass some university level exam here. What we're trying to do is to be able to sit down with someone and have a meaningful conversation with another human being, and to be able to communicate well enough to do that. Mistakes don't matter. Mistakes are part of the journey. We make mistakes when we speak English all the time. So language learning is a mindset. It's a journey. It's not about perfection. Now, I actually tested this once with Italian, learning Italian in 90 days. It was quite crazy. I bought a plane ticket to Rome before I even started. And the goal was simple, 90 days of learning, and then see how far I'd come by chatting to the locals. I even filmed myself every week, and you can check it out on a playlist here. There was no backing out for me, and believe it or not, I did it. Go and check out the playlist and see for yourself kind of what I did and how well I managed to do. And just like me, in 90 days with Italian, you could speak comfortably in the present tense, talk food or family or feelings and love. Learning Italian was one of the best things that I ever did. And it's one of the most fun languages I've ever learned as well. So pretty good reason to give it a go yourself.
7 sjösjuka sjömän. It means 7 seasick sailors.
You'd think a language with 9 vowels would be an absolute nightmare, but I'm going to spill a secret here. Swedish is actually easier than English. Wait, what? Even Will Ferrell loves speaking Swedish. See if anything sounds familiar.
You guys, the Swedish national football team. Du är så duktig. Du är så stark. Du är så fort.
If you think he's saying, you are so a bunch of things, Congrats! You just understood Swedish, and it's one of the easiest, not just because it sounds nice, but because it's built on familiar ground. Try saying, I like pancakes. Look at that, same logic as English, but just better, pancakes. And it sounds just musical enough to make your brain happy.
Alltså, inte kan jag. Jag fick just en friend request någon random. Jag måste ju kolla att det är någon pedofil eller något. Nej, man borde inte ta illa upp av vad andra säger.
Vad kan man om någon är störande? Inte kan någon störa mig liksom. Helst samma vara med.
So lovely. Even the nouns are sweet and simple. To say the pancake, you don't even need an extra word for the. You just stick a tiny ending onto the word pancake. It's a neat little trick that makes all your sentences smoother. Kind of like everything that the Swedes are famous for. Like, I don't know, apologizing when you bump into someone else.
Ja, men när han ringde och sa hej, det är Johan Kling. Då kände jag att jag vet inte vad du har att erbjuda, men jag tar det.
And the tough grammar stuff, well, it's basically gone. Check this out. In English, we say I am, you are, she is. We conjugate our verbs. But look at Swedish, it's all one word. And what's up with these dots on the A, you might wonder? Well, they just change the pronunciation of the A a little bit. So there are a few key sounds you're going to have to practice, but they're more fun than hard, I like to think.
Är det ju? Sju. Sjön. Sju. Kjol. Skjorta.
With a language like Swedish that does sound different to English, one of the things we need to do is to really drown our brain in the language. It's what we call immersion, and it's at the heart of the story learning method, which is what we teach here. The more you read, watch, and listen to Swedish, the faster the language sticks, the faster your brain gets used to it. And if you're wondering how to immerse yourself, well, try binging Swedish TV shows. We actually found some great ones, super watchable, totally addictive, and we created this free guide for you. More on that in a little bit. And wait for the best part. Swedish is so unbelievably nice. It has this thing called fika, which is basically a government-mandated cake break. It's not grammar, but it is motivation. So what could you do after 90 days of learning Swedish? Well, building on Italian's foundation, you could also talk about your daily routine, complain about the weather politely, describe all your favorite things to someone in that lovely sing-songy way that Swedish has, and order pancakes, coffee, and a cinnamon bun without even breaking a sweat. But before we go on to the next language, did you know that here at Story Learning, we teach languages in a way that's a lot like watching a TV series? The story learning method is based on science, and literally tens of thousands of students have learned a language this way. So if you're curious, grab the phone and scan the QR code on your screen, or click the link in the description, and you'll get a free tour of this fantastic method. It's all in my very popular Story Learning Kit. Now, one of the things you'll find inside is a guide of all the best TV shows that you can watch in all sorts of languages. Now, my personal favorites, many of them, that I think are great for language learning. I spent hours testing TV shows in different languages, and I put all the best ones together in one place for you. When you're inside the kit, you'll scroll down to the bonus section and you'll find it right there. And feel free to browse around all the other mini guides that we have here. They're chock full of fantastic tips and tricks to help you become a successful language learner and reach your language learning goals quickly. Let me know what you think.
Ik ben Michiel Huisman, wereldburger en dijkbewoner. Vol trots vertel ik in het buitenland dat ik in Nederland aan een dijk woon. Die dijk is onderdeel van onze Nederlandse identiteit en daarmee dus ook van die van mij.
Now, I don't know about dikes, but they say there are more bicycles in the Netherlands than people, and it's probably because there are almost no hills to ride up. It's like the Dutch language. Anyone can do it. Dutch is full of words that you half recognize, grammar that mostly makes sense, and pronunciation that sometimes sounds like a bicycle bell got caught in your throat, but we will come back to that later. First off, Dutch is surprisingly close to English. It's probably the closest major language out there. You'll spot lots of overlaps everywhere. Recognize any of these words? So before you try to shock Dutch people with...
Ik heb geen flauw idee van wat je zojuist gezegd hebt.
Take it easy and rather look and listen for all the words that sound like English ones. If you twist them a bit.
Een stukje kaas, een biertje. Best wel fijn om een dag even af te sluiten met elkaar. Dus ja, dat bestaat niet in Amerika. Ik ben Michiel Huisman en ik speel Gunnar in Rebel Moon.
Did you catch those? Did you even know he was Dutch? When I tried Dutch, I was amazed how quickly I could get the gist of conversations just by listening and guessing from context.
Then we get to the Dutch version of hello, which is hallo. Hello spelled with an A.
Now, the accent can feel a bit rote forward.
Is the sound. It can get pretty strong. For example, if we're just trying to say good morning, it sounds like an attack. It sounds like goedemorgen. Goedemorgen.
Wait, was that the hardest thing? I bet if you walk around all day today making that sound, you will have it down by tea time. 2 days max, but you're getting 90 days here, so there's no issue. And honestly, you only need a few phrases to impress Dutch people, like, wow, your English is amazing. That one always works. And in 90 days, you can navigate the Dutch city with signs that you can actually read, say things like, my bike is broken again, and make people smile, chat about where you're going or what you're doing using that piratey throat sound, like a pro.
The mouth works in a different way when speaking Spanish properly, and there's some things that are hard to say, and I figured if I could crack the nut on those hard words, that my mouth would be ready for the accent. Miércoles. Al restaurante.
If Jack Black can crack the nut on Spanish, well, I think you can too. So let's help you get there. Spanish, we all know what Spanish is. If you grew up in the US, it's been in your ears your whole life. TV, school, signs, music, restaurant, even your cereal box. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you've probably said, I really should speak Spanish by now. Well, here is your shot. And trust me, Spanish gives back a lot in 90 days.
He tenido un año increíble y estoy muy feliz de estar aquí presentando el programa de esta noche.
Don't worry at all about how fast they speak. Most of that speed is just an illusion. When we don't understand what's being said, everything is perceived as being faster, but we don't speak so slowly in English either. Just like any Romance language, Spanish is packed with words that are similar to English, literally thousands of them, and their endings often have predictable patterns. You already know tons of them, you just didn't realize it because of how they are pronounced. Animal, final, criminal, digital, creación, invitación, satisfacción. Once your brain knows what to listen for, these lights are going to start coming on left, right, and center. Now, don't get bogged down in grammar, but instead, practice putting together basic Spanish sentences. The trick is to start using whatever Spanish you've got right away. The Pareto principle says that 20% of your effort gets 80% of your results. And it is true in language learning, so don't wait to be ready, just start. And as for immersion, well, come on, you've got the ultimate shortcut here. People. Spanish speakers are everywhere. And if you can't find Spanish speakers, well, you can pick up one of my books of Spanish short stories for a daily dose of simple, clear, and fun immersion. And in 90 days, you could be recognizing hundreds of English-Spanish lookalikes, have everyday chats with Latinos in your neighborhood, and even learn their slang, follow a hilarious Spanish sitcom, and actually understand what's going on. It's a whole barrel of laughs.
Kann Johnny Depp wirklich gut knutschen?
Kann Johnny Depp wirklich gut knutschen? Ja, also ich habe gute Erinnerungen an die Küsse mit Johnny Depp.
Well, I don't know about Johnny Depp's reputation with Germans, but German has its own reputation, right? Big words, strong sounds, grammar that looks like it escaped from a dungeon. Just kidding. So let's get something out of the way. There are some tricky rules in German and you have to follow them. But if you like rules that actually make sense, German is weirdly satisfying. It's incredibly logical. So when patterns start clicking, it feels like you're solving a Rubik's Cube for the very first time.
Irgendwann war ich mal Kellnerin, dann war ich Putzfrau, dann war ich Diskotänzerin, dann war ich Hundefriseuse.
And the big horrible words that everyone's always joking about, well, they're actually just smaller words stuck together. So you can take them apart and see what they're made of. We've got hand plus shoe equals glove. We've got fire plus thing equals lighter. Fire thing sounds pretty cool. And my personal favorite, someone who waves back at Teletubbies. Is this an insult? Come on, tell me that that's not a word that you would start using immediately. You can learn an absolute ton of words just by deconstructing them and having a good old laugh while you're at it. Another great way to level up your German fast is to learn a bunch of high-impact phrases that people use all the time, every day. And you can do this without worrying about how the grammar works, just learning the phrases and deploying them. You'll be speaking real German from day one. So see what you can find on my blog if you are interested. I've got the mother load of German phrases right there. And here's a fun tip that I've been using for years with all my language learning, but especially with German. Sing along to German songs. It really helps get it inside your mind.
Ich hab heute nichts versäumt, denn ich hab nur...
What's perfection got to do with it? Absolutely nothing. The more ridiculous something is, the more memorable it is. That is a deep mnemonic trick right there. Our brains are amazing that way, and singing will help you absorb the pronunciation way faster than you think. So after 90 days in German, you might not be fluent, but you will be able to make short, correct sentences without second-guessing yourself. Use pre-built phrases to get what you want in German. And if you're bold, sing Rammstein at full volume.
Du hast mich gefragt.
It's your call. Now, people do amazing things with languages. People who have never learned languages before pull off amazing feats of learning a new language quickly. And this is one of those stories in particular, which involves someone learning a language in secret in order to create the most amazing surprise you can think of.